Hi guys, I've decided to learn Perl and I want to share the process of learning, and I want to say that I know nothing about Perl. I know only the logo type, which is this camel, and that Perl is interpreted language, which means that the source code is not compiled to binary code, and that's all I need about Perl. Actually, I've already installed Perl on my Linux Fedora 17, not by this way. I've done it by using YAML utility on my Fedora. To install Perl on your system, on your Fedora system, you can type yum install Perl brew, and this will install the latest stable version for your Fedora, and you can use this or maybe other tutorials on internet if you are using another Linux operating system. First program and some basic practices. Let's see what is this. Check you have Perl installed by typing this. Okay, let's see if I have Perl installed. This is Perl 5.14.4. This is my Perl package version. I'm not sure if this is a current version or very old version, so let's see what will happen next. Create a folder. I actually did this. You can do or you can avoid this. I've created a special folder for Perl programs, and this is the video file I'm currently recording. So the size should increase. Yes, this is that file. And let's see how we are going to write our first program on Perl. The files should be PL. Okay, as we can see, the idea is pretty the same as with other scripting languages, so let's say vim hello.pl and see what will happen next. So let's remove these comments. We have, as in standard shell or TCL or any other scripting language scripts, we have the location of interpreter and then the program is starting. I guess use is include for Perl. They are using some library called library or something else, maybe they call these packages something called strict and warnings, and then they are basically printing some string. Let's say we want to world, print hello world, and I believe it should be Perl and the file name. Yes, this works, and this is our first program on Perl. Let's go forward. Nothing else here. Let's do something more complicated. Perl modules introduction, first program, Perl examples. What can you do with Perl? List contents of a directory. Boring. Reading and writing to file. This is interesting. Read spreadsheet, processing configuration files and emails. Okay, let's try this one. Write to a file. Appending to a file, reading a file. Okay, let's start from the first program. Let's copy this to vim read, or we are going to writing to file. Vim write to file.pl. past. Oh shit. Let's try this way. Sorry. I'm sorry for this, guys. Use strict, use warnings. Okay, let's remove some. This is a comment, this is not comment, I believe. This is also not a comment, this is a comment. And yep, and let's see what's going on here. And we've managed to remove the first line again. Okay, they are using these two libraries, strict and warning. They also use some path. Maybe this path is a namespace like in C++, and from that path they are using some class or vice versa. Auto die if problem reading or writing a file. Maybe this kills the process of this file if there is a problem with reading and writing to a file, and then I believe the program itself, the logic of the program is starting. Here they are saying that the directory variable should contain the location of temp. We'll modify this to current directory. And then comes the file text. Although this is a comment, we are going to fix this. Okay, basically they are creating dir variable and assigning the current directory address to it. Then they are creating file variable and assigning the file name, and they are saying that that file is located into the directory. Actually this is an object, and I believe the file is a method of this object. Then they are getting file handle IO file object you can write to. They are creating a variable called file handle and assigning to it possibly file descriptor or handler, and they are opening this file we have here for writing. Probably for reading there is another method called open R or something like that. Then they are creating a list, and here is another new thing. Here they are using $sign and @ before the list, and I know the reason why, and that is pretty interesting. Here's the list. It contains 4 elements, and they are running for each loop for on list elements, and each element is assigned to line variable, and then that line variable is being written to file, and after that after each line variable they are putting new line characters. So I believe this will write these 4 words from the list on separate 4 lines after creating file called file text. Let's run this program. Perl write to file. It took a long time, and yep, the file has been created. Let's see what we have inside it, yes, a list of lines. The thing I'm not sure about is if these words are keywords or these are just variable names. I believe these are variable names, but let's check. Let's remove the last R from the dir and last E from the file, and from here and file handler there is no variable name here, and it should work. Or also let's check this list 2. We have removed last letters, and let's remove also the text file. I'll should rm text, okay, sorry, file text, yes, check, and run the program again. File, we have package path class dir at can't locate object method, can't locate object method. Yeah, yes, I was right. This is a method name, not the variable name, and this was a variable name, so we can spoil this file but not this one. And the dir is also a method name. This is actually maybe a class constructor or something like that, if you are familiar with C++. Okay, this works now, and the result should be the same. Vim. Yep. Okay. Let's see what else we can learn from Perl, from this first example. So let's understand what is going on here. They are creating variable. Maybe this keyword my is keyword for declaring variables, and this is a variable name and an object, directory object created by this method, and with this current folder argument is passed to this variable, and or so to say object, and then we are creating another variable, another object, and calling file method of this di object to create another object. Let's call it file object, and to assign it to file variable, and then we get the file handler by running open for writing open v method of file object and passing the handler to file handle variable. And then we are using that variable to print into the file, or in terms of Perl, to print into the file. Then we are creating a list called list, and this is also a variable name. We should understand that's a task to understand the difference between $sign and sign and @sign. Maybe all lists should be declared by using this sign. So list has been created with this variable, and then they are running basic for each loop, and in for each loop, before running the loop, they are creating line variable, and on each step of loop they are assigning each of these elements from list loop to list to line element, and the content of line element is being written to file, and that's it. Let's for example Google how we are declaring variable in Perl. Variable declaration in Perl. Variable declaration in Perl. Close. The trouble. Why the trouble? One of one of the three features of using strict, which is also called use strict vars, requires that you declare every variable before you use it. Well, sort of. Strange. Okay, there is a thing called strict variable declaration. I guess, for example, in Python programming language, you should not declare variable. You can use it any time you want, without declaration. But for example, in C++, you should define variable, define it by using its type, and only after that you can use that variable. That's there are two different types of languages, and I'm not sure to which category of language Perl belongs to. So let's see what we have in this article. Let's see first example. Why is this important? L1 equals to 42 plus L1 plus plus. This should increase the value of L1 by 1 and print L1. We assign 42 to a variable, later we increment it by 1 and then print it. Surprisingly, the variable still contains 42. This is interesting. The author might even know that he has to declare the variable using mice, so maybe the code looks like this. First he should declare, but the result is the same. Strange. Now imagine that it is not in a 3-line long example code, but in 100 lines. Okay, you can find many established places. You have very hard time noticing that auto increment used later at twice, while at first and 2 rows at variable with later and number 1. Use strict. If we add a use strict requirement at the beginning of the file, use strict. So now we can understand why these guys are using strict. Well, sort of understand. Let's move on. We'll get following compile time error message. Seeing that error message isn't that clear, at least not for the beginners. Well, I am a beginner and that's not clear for me. We'll see later where does it come from. In the meantime, if you are interested, you can read more about I will do, I promise to myself. In practical terms, it means that you have not declared your variable. What the hell? Declared your variable. Of course, running to your editor declaring my won't do any good. You'll have to understand that it's actually a typo and the real variable name is okay. Then that means that if I remove, for example, this line and my keywords, it will become to language with not static declaration, and this will work too. rm file text. Let's try. Yeah, it works. Okay, guys, I'm not sure if you should do this, or it's more better to say that I feel that you shouldn't do this, but this will work. So I guess there you can switch that functionality on by using use strict command at the beginning of program, and you should declare the variables if you use that. And I like that. I think that every variable should be declared before using it, and you can turn off that functionality by removing that line, and that turns the Perl to something similar to to Python, for example. So guys, this is it for the first video. If for some reason I will still want to continue studying Perl tomorrow, I will create another videos. If you have some suggestions, some advices, or something, just something to say, feel free to comment, to thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. Bye.